This episode is brought to you by Hoob. Use the code TalkingTriathlon10 when you check out for 10% off store-wide. Welcome back, everybody, to another episode of Talking Triathlon, a podcast where James Bale, man in the fleece, talks to Tim Ford, the man sans fleece, about the sport of triathlon. Jimbo, mate, welcome back to the podcast. How you going?
It's a new fleece, mate.
Fleece?
New as of Christmas. This is not the standard podcast fleece. This is a new fleece, and it's a better fleece. It's lined, so it doesn't let the wind in as much as the other one.
Could you say, James, you've got a new fleece on life?
I've got a new fleece.
That's so bad. That's so bad.
Yeah. But to be honest, it's getting warmer here, mate. I had a run today, and it felt there was a bit of spring in the air. It was quite nice. The sun was shining and it wasn't raining. I enjoyed my run today. It was good. How are you, mate?
I'm good. I'm very good. How long was the run? I am curious because I saw you putting up a post saying that the marathon fatigue is real. So where's your volume at? What are you doing? Because the marathon's getting kind of close. So
yeah, I'm running about 50k a week at the moment.
Nice.
Which I'm quite happy with, but I'm still managing this slight hip twinge, so I'm being a bit careful. But today was a threshold, so I'm just going to start doing some slightly longer runs at the weekend. But I'm all right. I'm on target.
Good.
I have a target in mind now.
I love it for the time that you're trying to hit.
Yeah, that's the plan. Yeah,
254, obviously. So 250, 359. I am also I've started my build towards Melbourne, even though I've got 34 weeks until it. But I've sort of started to do the structure, and I don't know. I've honestly just been so shocked. I do Tuesday, Wednesday back-to-back runs, and then I do Friday, Saturday, Sunday runs. So 5 runs a week. And my Tuesday, Wednesday runs the last 2 weeks, it's honestly like I've got post 70.3 race DOMs. Like my quads have been I've been doing these hill repeats, and I'm having to run down and stop halfway down because my quads are burning so much. And I've been like, what the hell is going on? And I'm like, I'm in the gym a bit, but it can't be that. And then I went, it's the Pilates.
It's the
Pilates.
You've added Pilates into your rotation, and it's fucking you.
Oh my dad! Pilates is the hardest workouts I've ever done in my life. Honestly, I am a hot, sweaty man. It's crazy to me how hard Pilates is. I never would have thought. When you go and you see this bed contraption thing, you're like, okay. Then they make you do the things that they make me do on that bed. I have. Yeah,
I didn't realize. I thought
reformer.
Pilates, you had just a mat.
No, it's like a reformer machine thing. So you've got looks like a bed, and it's got straps. Honestly, it could look like some weird sex dungeon thing, but it's not. It's got it's like a slidey bed. So it's got a platform, and it's got springs, so it slides, and then it's got arm strings on. So you do all these twists and flips, and mate, it's diabolical. I had to do one the other day where I was on the box next to it.
Any benefit from this?
100%. I feel incredible. The not drinking, the people. Thank you for everybody's messages about the not drinking. By the way, the not drinking, the Pilates, the gym, and I'm. Yeah, very, very, very well at the moment. I am, again, who says that now? Next week he's injured. No, God damn it. This fucking... No,
yeah.
Things very...
You listen to stuff while you run?
Yes, almost exclusively.
Yeah, same. I got a message from somebody today a colleague in a different world, and he knows that I run a lot, and he was like, do you listen to things? Because he's just started running. And he was like, do you listen to things when you run? And I was like, yeah, most of the time I do. And he was like, I just feel like you shouldn't listen to things when you run because, you want to tap in. And I was like, mate, just whatever makes it easier. Do you know what I mean? Let's not unnecessarily burden ourselves with some sort of desire to just raw dog everything.
Wasn't this, who was it? Mark Allen or whatever, he used to stare at a dot on a wall while he'd ride the trainer for 4 hours or something. Nah, I'm good. I'll watch Netflix, thanks. No, I listen to books, podcasts. If I ever have to do anything like speed work or intervals or anything, I just switch to music. Got some really good songs on my playlist at the moment, actually. But yeah, I've actually listened to like 3 or 4 audiobooks since the new year, just while running. It's been a good time. So
yeah, it's a strange one with audiobooks. I struggle to maintain the focus with an audiobook when I'm running. My mind wanders too much. The music's my jam.
I do have that like when I've got particular things on. I know that, for example, when I was in the thick of writing my book last year, I couldn't really listen to audiobooks and stuff because all I was thinking about was my book. So I had to just put music on because same thing. I'd go 20 minutes. I go, I haven't listened to a word they said. I was too busy thinking about what I was going to write. So yeah, but now I'm dumb and have nothing in my brain. So books are fine. But yeah, so all good here. If people want to get more inside scoop into what's happening besides the sport of triathlon, head to patreon.com/talking triathlon. At the end of this month, all the money we raise through Patreon will be donated to my Melbourne Marathon fundraiser for Beyond Blue. So if you want to chip in $5 to get me to the Melbourne Marathon and go to an excellent cause, sign up for our Patreon. You also then get all the bonus content. Sign up for a month. Feel free to cancel if you like. And then all the money that we raise through Patreon will be going to my fundraiser at the end of the month. So the links will be in the show notes. And you get bonus stuff too. WhatsApp group, Strava group. And races are coming up soon. So it's going to be a good time to get into that WhatsApp group soon. Jimbo, mate, it is time to get started this week. And I thought a good place to start is with the announcement that Maya Kingma is now a professional cyclist.
Yes, Maya Kingma is a professional cyclist. So last year she got halfway through the year, and then pro cycling outfit EF Education Oatly announced that she'd joined their team after impressing at a training camp. So then she did a series of races with them. But now she has gone on and joined UCI Women's Pro Continental Team Aroma Italia 3T Viano. I think that's how you pronounce it. She said, I got the opportunity to go and try pro cycling last year, and I'm really eager to give it a serious try. Right now, cycling gives me what I'm looking for: varied courses, long climbs that suit my strengths, more tactics, and real team racing. It motivates me and makes me genuinely happy to train and race. It may come as a surprise, but the working environment at Olympic Triathlon is not the environment that makes me the athlete I can be. And it also doesn't make me happy as a person. Quite the contrary, unfortunately.
Yeah.
I mean, ultimately, as an athlete like she is, if she's motivated by a different challenge and motivated by pro cycling, I see this as only a good thing. Fully.
And she has the skills to definitely succeed too, because, Maya is, to me, one of the strongest swim bikers in the sport. And it's not that her run is a weakness. It's just that Maya has been riddled with run injuries for many, as long as we've known Maya. I think she's had little run niggles. I know she had to pull out a super try because of injuries. She, it's always been this sort of fine line of running with her. And when she's on, she's got a faster 10K PB, I think, than Gwen Jorgensen. So she's very, very talented. I love this. I, again, genuinely think Maya is such a wonderful person. I love to see her pursuing something that she's interested in. But I guess the bigger thing that we can talk a little bit about was the end of her post and the third screen slide on that announcement post that you touched on at the end, because, I think that's worth discussing as well.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. I think there's a lot of misconception, isn't there? And a lot of viewing things from the outside. You think, it must just be the most supportive and encouraging and buoyant environment being inside an Olympic triathlon or any sport, really, cycle. But it has pressures and it has issues and it has a lot of things go on behind the scenes that sometimes can make an athlete not feel like they want to be in that environment. Yeah.
So I know that we probably talked about this a few years ago on the show, or maybe it was the old version of the show, but I know that there was a lot of kerfuffle, is probably a good way of saying it, with the Dutch Federation. There was reports of bullying, and I think coaches got moved on. But it's something that we have seen across. This isn't a Dutch Federation thing. There is incidents across multiple federations. We've seen sort of, again, kerfuffle at World Triathlon recently with elections and things like that. But I feel like when you think about why I can understand this being so appealing to an athlete like Maya is, from, again, as the biggest fan of cycling in the world, the team model around professional cycling it's a team. They have people that cook for them, they have people that transport them, they have mechanics, it's a team environment, right? Where a professional, the more and more I have to do with professional teams in other sports through different things that I do at work, you're like, wow, there's some, we spent some time with an AFL team, which is an Australian. It's called Australian Rules. It's a weird Australian sport that most people won't understand. But we were at one of the pro teams' headquarters last year, and the level of professionalism those guys have, where they, literally walk in. The first room you walk through is the physio massage area, where they spend all an hour each getting massaged, physio. They've got the restaurant where their team chef cooks all their food individually to them. They've got this huge gym. They've got a heat room. They've got the ice bath. Like, it's a full pro sport. And then you go to triathlon. It's like, no, not that. I've seen Triathlon Australia's previous headquarters, and when I say it's like an actual shack next to the river, it was like an actual shack next to the river. So from a team point of view, I can imagine for somebody like Maya, like, it must be such a breath of fresh air, who's had that struggle within a team environment around the Dutch Federation, now move into a pro cycling team. It must be amazing.
Night and day, yes. I mean, I think Team GB does a very good job of looking after its triathletes. They've got a really solid training center, but I would say even that setup would pale in comparison to being a valued member of a pro cycling team at that level. You're going to get all the bells and whistles. You're going to get looked after. You're going to get taken places. You're going to get, like you say, meals cooked. Your kit's going to be washed. You're going to have massages provided post-race. Your entire calendar is going to be looked after. And it's going to be a very different environment. And probably one, like you said, with the kerfuffle we've seen with that, what's the word that I can't find?
Aura?
With that. No, with the federation. With that federation,
Yep.
we've seen the kerfuffle, which is the word you're using. It's probably an environment change that Maya's going to really, really appreciate and probably needs. And I wish her every success. She says she's not saying goodbye to triathlon. She's still running and swimming, just a bit less, with more specific cycle training. She might race triathlons in the second half of this year, but she'll choose what makes her happy and thus a well-performing athlete, which the opportunity to take that step and make that decision, to go in a different direction, something that is going to make you happy and drive you to be the best you can possibly be, that is invaluable.
I also think that if you look at, like, let's say, take last year as a sort of example, where you had Alexia decided to pursue marathon running, Kate Waugh, Hayden Wild sort of moving away from short course to focus on middle distance, Maya, Georgia, lots of athletes sort of trialing different things. I think it's just sort of, to me, a bit of an extension of that, right? Like, I've seen reports Alexia is absolutely frothing to get back to the Olympic qualifications this year. Like, I think a break. I mean, on another note, and a completely different circumstance, but Ash Gentle's just come back after a break after having a miscarriage at the end of last year, saying, again, super refreshed and found that motivation for the sport again. A break can sometimes be a really good thing, and, to come back, reinvigorate. Like, I don't see that. It's not like she's going to go away and stop being active. This is something that Maya is already so strong. Going away and being like an actual legitimate pro cyclist for a season, coming back is not going to then go, oh, that was probably bad. Like, I think that she's going to continue.
She's got the chops as well. She really has got the chops to go. And in my opinion, if she finds success, then this could be a one-way ticket.
Yeah.
Because if you find success in that world, you get yourself a career. She has 10 years doing this at a high level. That's a living, mate. It
is. And then selfishly, obviously, I'd love to see her come back. I've always said I think Maya would be an exceptional long course athlete, just with the way she is, like, front pack swimmer, front pack biker, and her run went on very, very good. I think I even commented on her thing, say, well, when you come back to triathlon, just don't bother with everything else. Just go win Hawaii and everybody will be happy. But
I prefer the EF jersey, though.
I do agree. But that's also because you've got a signed one. So, and I know you wear that sometimes. I can.
Right, hanging up.
Again, as people will see on YouTube, he's really respecting that jersey. It's really
I haven't hung it up yet. It's just over a. It's hung up. It's gently hung up on the thing.
Placed strategically placed for now.
I haven't done anything with it yet, but I will.
Nah, but I do. I think it's so good for Maya. Yeah. So, again, we spoke about this a few weeks ago about could triathletes move to pro cycling, and the answer is yes. It's just not Hayden Wild. It's Maya Kingma.
Yeah, exactly. And, like I said, she's got the chops, and I will be pulling for her every pedal stroke. I cannot wait to watch the first race that she's in.
Yeah, exactly. Well done, Maya. Where to next, mate? Where are we going to move our attention to now?
Well, I thought we could probably, with all this patron money we got coming in, and our new sponsorship from show sponsor Hoob, who I thought we could probably go and buy a triathlon series.
Oh, yeah. I've seen that there's been some triathlons on the market for sale. So what
fancy buying a triathlon series? Maybe we could go after Outlaw, or we could. I don't know. Are there any other series left?
I was going to go after Ironman, to be honest. I'm just going to go straight to the top. And you are correct. Challenge Family has a majority share in Challenge Family has been acquired by the PTO.
Yes. I'm going to do a little bit of reading. In groundbreaking news, the Professional Triathletes Organisation has announced that it's acquired a majority shareholding in Challenge Family from Y11 Sports and Media to make it a key part of the newly launched Triathlon World Tour. The Triathlon World Tour was unveiled in December by the PTO and the sports governing body World Triathlon, the latest step in a 12-year strategic partnership between the two organisations with the aim of growing the sport longer term. So, Challenge has been brought in, and Sam Renouf said the acquisition and investment into Challenge Family is a significant moment in the PTO journey as we make the Triathlon World Tour a reality alongside our partners World Triathlon to create a single brand and competition structure that helps professionals, amateurs, fans, media sponsors and other stakeholders more clearly understand and engage with the sport. What do you reckon? So Challenge Family, are they still going to exist as an entity, Challenge Family? Or is it going to just get absorbed into this big T something, the T everything?
Yeah, I firstly, it's a lot. It's huge. I'd heard whispers. Like there's been whispers for a while that Challenge Family has been looking to be acquired. I've got fairly good insight, I suppose, into some of the machinations behind the scenes of
beans, motherfucker.
No, just about like how they've had certain owners and things have moved and why they've been looking to sort of, basically how this came about. So I think that, I mean. There's lots, right? Yeah, it's definitely the potential to see things. I've sort of been quite critical in the past about some things about Challenge Family. I've been very supportive of some things at Challenge Family in the past. I feel like the T100 PTO brand does a very good job of event delivery. Like all the events that they put on, with the exception of like I don't know laps and some technical things, it's a pretty flawless experience. And I think that if we see that standard applied to Challenge Family, that's a good thing.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I've done challenge races in the past, and I have been underwhelmed by the experience, if you know what I mean, the athlete experience as a punter.
I know that, for example, a lot of what Challenge Family, or I guess Challenge Family sort of model is a licensed model, rather like they don't really own events. It's why you see so many, like in Australia, we've had that many different challenge races come in and out, and it's because it's a license. So an event manager can purchase the license, brand their races Challenge. So in terms of what does it mean for the acquisition, it's not like suddenly the PTO owns all these events. And again, you would assume that if they are going to, because theoretically T100 or PTO, whatever that T series is called, they could have also offered a license, a competitive license so let's say Challenge Canberra in Australia. They could go to Challenge Canberra, say, don't be Challenge Family, come to T100 Canberra, whatever it is. So, I mean, there are some races, but obviously the big one is Challenge Roth, which is, as everybody has probably realized now, has always been a sort of, like it's a bit complicated. So Challenge Family was started by Felix, who's the owner of Challenge Roth, and then they sort of separated. So Challenge Roth is one thing, and then Challenge Family is another thing, and the acquisition doesn't actually impact Challenge Roth. I guess it's a big way. I don't really know. Like as with sort of every major announcement we've seen in triathlon in recent times, there's not really much information. We don't really understand. There's more questions than there are answers. But I hope, as always, that one thing I will continue to say is I genuinely do believe that the PTO is trying to grow the sport, and they must therefore have a plan for this to make the sport bigger. Because
so. The Triathlon World Tour is going to start in 2027, and it's going to have the T100 events and the T50 World Championship Series events. The two newly formed Challenger Series will sit beneath each of those and give people a clear qualification pathway to become an official champion at both distances. I quite like that. That whole like the two separate leagues and then the qualifier leagues beneath it. It kind of, we talked about that years ago, that kind of league structure. It's a very simplistic version of that. The PTO is aiming to grow the World Triathlon Tour to approximately 80 events from 2027 onwards. A full schedule of more than 35 Challenge family events in 2026, following the successful Challenge Sabani Yas event in Abu Dhabi at the end of January, will continue under the Challenge family brand for the rest of the year as the two companies continue to plan for 2027. So ultimately, we're going to see no change in 2026. We're going to see things start to change in 2027. Now, I agree with you. The T100 have got, I think, the best interests of the sport at heart. They want to grow triathlon. They want to succeed. I love that. And I've pulled for them from the start. What I don't want to see, which they have been guilty of, is a kind of a misinformation journey. Events being announced, then being planned and scrapped, and a calendar half full, sort of scripted for the year, and then it disappears, and then it reappears, and then events are. I want to see this year planning year, rollout year.
Yeah,
let's fucking go.
I think the other thing that, this was discussed a fair bit in our WhatsApp group since it's been announced, and there was, I'm sorry, there's a lot of messages in there, but one of the points that was made was that we've seen in the past Challenge, every time they've sort of had a modicum of success or something seems to be working, they often get their legs cut out from under them by Ironman. Ironman will come in, buy the race. Great examples, Challenge Cairns. Challenge Cairns started in Australia, 15 years ago, whatever it was. And then Ironman comes and go, we'll have that, thanks. Now we have Ironman Cairns. So I also believe that maybe the back end of the PTO will make them a bit more robust in terms of being able to stop that sort of thing from happening. But even in like what you just described, there's the challenges, like the feeder series and stuff like that. Is that pro racing? Is that just for amateurs? Is it like, are we still going to see? Because I've said a lot. I think the real benefit that Challenge, or the very special place that Challenge family has in pro triathlon, and I understand a lot of people sort of think amateur first, pro second, but is that it is a good testing ground, or it's a good development ground for those up and coming pros who, probably can't go to a pro series race and win or even podium, but they can go there and they can have success and they can start to build a bit of momentum. Yeah. So I wonder if that's still going to be around. And then, are we going to suddenly see all their Challenge half distances become 100? Are we going to see a lot of those 70.3 distance races become 100 distance races? And is that going to, I feel like one of the good things as an amateur like myself who was chasing PBs, I liked the consistency in distance because it meant I could, and I know they say you can't compare, but I don't care. I did. If I've suddenly got a whole bunch of them 100 distance and others are 70.3 or 1.3 kilometer distance, do you think is that going to entice more people, or is it going to make more people go, well, I don't really want to do, I don't know. So there's honestly so many still unanswered questions. Plus, what about their full distance races? Because again, obviously Roth to the side, because I think Challenge Roth will always probably just be Challenge Roth.
We'll talk about Roth in a minute. That'll be our next.
But they've got Almere, they've got Israman, they've got Challenge Taiwan. They've got a series. Are we going to see them as? I know. I don't know how long I've heard whispers. I've heard things about Challenge. I think at one point we're talking about trying to start the official long course distance world championships. PTO's in bed with World Triathlon. Are we going to see them try to do are we going to see suddenly another long distance world championship series that might be 200? I don't know. So there's a lot.
Well, the PTO and World Triathlon say they will unveil further details of the new Triathlon World Tour, including branding, tiered competition structure, and organizational setup at an event in the first half of 2026. Fans, athletes, media, and partners will be able to see in one place how a unified Triathlon World Tour will bring together the best in the sport to a single, compelling global format. So, to buttress what I just said a minute ago, I'm just hoping that rollout is comprehensive, is enough to satisfy some of these unknowns that we've got, but also is rigid enough to stay the answer.
Yeah. Now, the other thing I want to touch on, and yeah, I need to, I guess, be a little bit careful here, is while I do think that there's a lot of positives from taking this, I also feel like we need to be a little bit cautious too, because something that I have seen in a lot of other industries, worlds, things is when, like it's almost a bit boring, right? One company buys another company. And we've seen it a lot in, again, people don't care, but the thing I'm quite involved in is like I play a lot of video games and stuff. And we've seen Microsoft buy studios and, Sony buy this studio. And what always happens is when a big company buys a smaller company, it's always the business as usual.
Promises are made,
everything's going to be the same. We're all good. And then what happens is suddenly some projects get cancelled, and then suddenly staff get reduced, and suddenly it's almost like that original thing doesn't necessarily happen. Now, my biggest concern about this whole acquisition is the fact that we then go from, in the past we've had Challenge, we've had T100, we've got Ironman, we've got local operators, we've got World Triathlon. Suddenly we're getting down to almost a duopoly where we're going to have PTO/World Triathlon and Ironman. And yes, a consistent brand thing. And yes, I understand this is almost me taking the hat off of going broadcast first and thinking amateur first now. I am concerned that suddenly if you have two major players without many other options, the prices are already getting out of hand. Like, T100 events are a lot more expensive than challenge events. Are we about to see all of these races become more expensive? Like, I just think that there is the potential for that too.
Yeah, it reminds me of when Kraft bought Cadbury in 2010.
Yeah.
Suddenly there was a fear that I have really lovely chocolate was going to be shite American chocolate all of a sudden. And then loads of redundancies were going to happen. And they did reduce the workforce. I'm not sure the quality. I think the quality of the chocolate remains. We've managed to at least stay that course. But yeah, you're right. It is significant because Challenge does give. We don't often talk about amateur racing on this podcast, but I think in this instance it's really relevant because Challenge does give people an alternative route into the sport that isn't as expensive as an Ironman. You don't quite get the full experience. You don't get all the bells and whistles that an Ironman does in its franchise model, which is just everything's the same. It's like an identity kit.
The McDonald's of triathlon, yeah.
Yeah, exactly, and it's brilliant. You don't quite get that with Challenge. You'll get each event will have its own idiosyncrasies and different ways of doing things, but it's cheaper. And if you're doing a full distance, if you've shelled out for a full distance Ironman, you may not want to do an Ironman 70.3. You might do a Challenge half distance on your journey there to save a bit of money. And this is what concerns me a little bit because the T100 races are quite expensive for what you get, and you get a good experience at T100 race. I've done one, I've done it twice now. You do get a good experience. I really think that their on the ground organization is exceptional, but I don't want to lose the cheaper entry points to the sport because, like we were discussing last week, everything's getting more expensive in this sport. And if you start removing those, then you get less people willing to throw their hat into the ring because everything just gets more and more expensive. Are they going to unilaterally say, right, well, our races cost this much? That's a problem. Yeah.
And then again, to go back to the pro racing side, we've seen the PTO this year, while they've maintained the number of pro races, 8, they've actually halved their pro races because it's 4 men, 4 women instead of 8 male, 8 female races. That's why I can't see them suddenly acquiring all these challenge races. And again, the majority of challenge races have a pro field, not always a big pro field, but they, like Sebastian had a great pro field. Are we going to see them go, oh yeah, we'll keep having pro? I can't see it happening. Again, if the model seems to me to be completely built around mass participation, and they're showing that they don't necessarily need to have those pro. I just see they might just go away. I am concerned that we're going to see a lot less. Like we're already seeing less and less pro races. Ironman's, again, Ironman used to have fully pro races at all their events. There's not now. Challenge was sort of. I also think, are we going to see less options for? Which again, I say it like it's not.
Yeah, I'm about to counter this with.
Yeah,
it might not be a bad thing because if they can raise the prize money in the races that do exist and give the ecosystem an ability to earn money, in those races, then maybe less races might produce a better pro racing experience, broadcast wise and for the pro.
Yeah, and we also talk about the fact that there's a lot of pro triathletes, like a lot, like too many, to be honest. So maybe we will, like, again, people can tell we're sort of figuring this out live. Maybe it will see a lot of those, I guess, the tail end or the hobby pro triathletes opt out, and maybe we will actually just see a higher standard of pro athlete. But yeah, like I said, I'm equal parts optimistic and slightly concerned, I suppose. Like I'm not waving the banner going, this is the best thing that's ever happened, but I'm also not like hand in.
Agreed. Like, but that's why I quite like the feeder, the Challenger series that sits below it. If you've got this top tier, which is your World Championship race format, and then you've got these Challenger series that sit beneath it that feed. That's where your hobby pros can scrap it out and see whether they're good enough. I was having a conversation with Andrew Horsfall-Turner this week, off the back of listening to his latest podcast, because I'm trying to show some support. I'm one of his two listeners.
Basically, you want to know what to talk about. Right? You want to work out what to say in this podcast. Yeah,
exactly. And we had a chat, and I said, is the era of being able to come into the sport and then work your way up over a long period of time, maybe not be the best to begin with, but just chip away and find some success. Is that over now that we're seeing younger and younger champions? We're seeing people come into the sport and find success really early. And we had a big old chat about that, and he thinks it's not specifically over, but it's going to get harder to go on that journey. And maybe this Challenger series will just facilitate that for these. I don't know why I keep doing this whenever I talk about it, but I think that could be a good facilitator for that environment.
I also think that in terms of a positive, if we see, even if you take away broadcast, but if you see this, I think that, again, no shade at Challenge, but the PTO do a much better job of the social media. Like maybe we will also then see those Challenger up and comers might get more value out of it because there is more of a push. So like, there might be less, but that means the ones that are there are highlighted better, which means maybe there's more money in it for the pros that do well at those Challenger races too. Like it's not all doom and gloom.
Actual route to success as well, because at the moment you go and do a challenge event in the arse end of nowhere and win it, come second, come third. What changes in your life?
Yeah,
not much. Whereas if you're on this Challenger series and there is a route to progression, a laid out route to progression, where if you get tick these certain boxes, achieve these certain results, you get to take the step up, then it becomes something achievable, doesn't it?
Do you remember that they announced it wasn't a feeder series? What was it? It was the Contender series last year for the T100. Do you remember that?
Yeah. Sorry, I nodded. Sure.
What happened? What happened with that?
Yeah. Well, look, I just think this is going to be more expansive. I got to believe this is going to be more expansive. And yeah,
I genuinely think that I'm not sitting here thinking, they're like the PTOs, like Sam Renouf and the PTO people are sitting in their dark tower going, how can we fuck the amateurs? Like I definitely do. I honestly feel like this is an intended positive step for the sport. And like, there's so much I love about it. I love the more unification. I love it cautiously. I love the unification. Again, I have said that the triathlon does feel a bit like boxing, where you've got like 4 different world titles and stuff like that. And it will be interesting to see that, because yes, we talk about a duopoly, but you've got all of this consolidation happening over here. And then you've just got Ironman doing what Ironman does. And the reason Ironman is so dominant is because they're the dominant player, right? But if all of this stuff does come together and does start to work together and does start to make things easier and better and blah, 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 suddenly things get harder for these guys over here.
Yeah.
So
it's like the rebels pulling it together, mate. Not just being disparate factions, but actually working together. You never know.
Now, I know we're going to talk about Challenge Roth, but do we want to talk about this week's sponsor before we talk about Challenge Roth?
Yes, we do. Before we go into the Challenge Roth, we want to tell you about a very special offer that Hoob have at the moment. We mentioned that they've started sponsoring the podcast, and we gave you an intro to their company last week. But this week, we want to talk about an offer that they're going to be launching or have launched, and they've put together what they believe is the fastest wetsuit in the world, tested using their own active drag measurement system. The same technology behind back-to-back 70.3 World Championship wins with Yella Games. They're pairing that wetsuit with the Sub 7 tri-suit, the same suit used during those championship performances, creating a premium bundle worth over £2,200. But right now, that full package is available for just £999.
Wow.
Hoob want every athlete who's worked hard all winter to arrive on the start line knowing they're wearing the fastest kit possible. This is a limited run, just 100 bundles with each tri-suit individually numbered. And once they're gone, they are gone. And because you're listening to us, you can save even more. You can use the Talking Triathlon 10 code for an additional 10% off that $999. So a wetsuit worth £800 and a tri-suit worth £1,300, elite level performance at an incredible price. If you're chasing speed, it has to be Hoob. Now, the interesting thing about this is that sub-7 tri-suit was developed for the sub-7 event, which, traces back nicely in our lineage.
I know for a fact, and I will not name names, I will be as anonymous as possible, but I know some athletes who chose to use a unbranded Hoob sub-7 suit with a different sponsor logo on it in the past because they tested it compared to others and it was significantly faster. So absolutely. I know how good that Hoob suit. I have had to deal with the consequences of athletes doing that in the past because that suit is so good. Honestly, that is a genuine saving. And again, I said it last week.
Isn't it?
It's a great. Even I'm like
£2,200 for $999, and there's only 100. Get in there. Get in there.
I'm even just thinking for the wetsuit. Like I don't need a tri-suit, but for the wetsuit alone, that's still a discount on the wetsuit. So. With that 10% off, that's a good deal. But again, I genuinely mean it. I think Hoob, Dino is a legend. We know how much work and innovation has gone into it. I remember I've been on a sponsorship call with Dean about the wetsuit once, and him talking about the amount of work that has gone into their wetsuit, and even me being like, "Fucking hell, mate, this is a bit much. Like this is a lot." So this is not a brand that just sort of mucks around. They take things really serious. So hoobdesign.com. In the show notes, you'll find the talking tab. We'll put a link to this stuff in the show notes this week. Support people that are supporting us. And let's go back to the podcast, mate.
Yeah, and that code is for use globally as well. So as of 2 days ago, it's available worldwide.
Yeah, we know that because I tried to use it to buy myself something and it wasn't working. So we make sure that it will be. So talking Triathlon 10 will be in the show notes. Back to Challenge Roth, Jimbo.
Challenge Roth, mate. Now, I noticed the other day when I was mildly monitoring the WhatsApp group, and we had our own kerfuffle, didn't we, when this challenge purchase. And one of the main concerns people had was what was going to be the implications on Challenge Roth. Was it going to suddenly be Challenge T100? And is it going to be? No. It remains Challenge Roth. It was announced on Wednesday that Professional Triathletes Organisation has taken a moratorium. We've talked about all that. But one race was conspicuous by its absence in the official press release, and that was Challenge Roth, often called the jewel in the triathlon family's crown, but owned by Teams Challenge GmbH, which is led by the Walshofer family who organise Roth. Nothing's going to change. A lot of questions came into the office and also via social media, and everyone asked, what does it mean for Roth? For Roth, it means nothing. Why? Because Challenge Family and Challenge Roth are completely independent organisations and independent units. And Datev Challenge Roth and Team Challenge GmbH will stay independent. That was Felix.
It was Felix. So again, I think I touched on it earlier, but for I guess people to understand the history of that event, Challenge Roth wasn't always called Challenge Roth. It used to be Ironman Germany. It was the Ironman race. And then Ironman did what Ironman do, and they decided to start a different Ironman Germany. And Roth was sort of what's going on. So that's where Challenge Roth came from. And Challenge Roth was the first Challenge Family race. And then Challenge Family started to evolve. And then Felix, again, I don't understand the exact specifics, but basically they separated out. That's his race. It's still under the Challenge brand. As I said, Challenge operate a license model. I don't understand the specifics between the two of them, but it is an independently owned race. Now, I know a lot of people who listen have done the Challenge Roth race. If you go there, to be honest, a lot of the branded stuff you get isn't Challenge Roth. It's Roth Triathlon, or like there's even if you watch the video that Felix recorded about this, he's got the R, like the different logo on his shirt. He doesn't have a Challenge logo on his shirt. So they are two separate things. So yeah, I think Challenge Roth is going to continue to be I mean, to be honest, I think that if they included Challenge Roth in the purchase, it would make the whole thing a lot more expensive because, Challenge Roth is a crazy popular race. But it doesn't still necessarily answer, is it still going to be called Challenge Roth? Are we going to see if the Challenge family brand goes away? Will it, I don't know. So.
Yeah, there may be some minor implications, but I can't see anything in the short term happening dramatic. He did go on to say, however, we're happy to hear the news and we've always cooperated really well with Sam Renouf and the PTO CEO and his team from the PTO, as we have the Challenge family, all the federations, but also with Ironman and Scott Daru. Nothing's going to change for our athletes and for our volunteers and the whole community, and we're very much looking forward to deliver the best Challenge Roth for 2026. So yeah, I don't see any change there. I think as we've already discussed, the major changes are going to come in the other Challenge Roth. Challenge Roth is strong enough to stand alone. Everyone wants to do that race at some point. I've never had the opportunity to do it, but life's short. I will do it at some point, I'm sure.
Do you know what's another interesting, I guess, thing to discuss that we haven't touched on yet? I still think we've seen the most positive change to professional triathlon in the last couple of years is caused by the PTO, and that was the launch of the Ironman Pro Series. The Ironman Pro Series, a direct reaction to what the PTO was trying to do with their T100 series. And it's given us, again, in my opinion, the best racing we've seen in a long time. What do you think we can expect to see? Do you expect to see a response from Ironman? And I don't necessarily mean to come out and put out a statement, but they are clearly watching what the T100 and PTO are doing. What do you think? What could you see Ironman doing here in this? What do you see as a potential opportunity for Ironman to respond to this?
I think, historically, Ironman's perspective has always been, you do what you want. We are the sun that you orbit because we're Ironman. And they are in such a strong position having that name because a lot of people want to come in and do an Ironman. And the first thing you Google is Ironman, and that's what comes up. You don't put into your search engine Iron Distance Triathlon if that's the direction you want to go in. So their strength is hard to argue against. But like you say, if all these other elements are starting to come together and create a unified front, then there might be a moment where they have to go, okay, so how are we going to respond to this? I don't know what their response could or should be, other than to improve their broadcast. I'm desperate for them to improve their broadcast.
I wonder if, because as I sort of touched on, right, we know that the Challenge family model exists around license. So these are independently, majority, I think most are independently owned races that Challenge family doesn't operate, independent operators do. I wouldn't be surprised if we saw Ironman suddenly going out to a lot of those events that they like. And the obvious ones that come to mind for me is something like Challenge Taiwan. Challenge Taiwan is a huge event. It's legitimately one of the biggest triathlons in the world. The number of people that go to do that event is absolutely crazy. I would not be surprised if we saw Ironman starting to go out after strategic events and saying, if you're not sure about what's going on, you don't necessarily like the what's going on with the PTO, blah blah blah. Come over this side. Come work with us. That's, to me, would be a thing I could see Ironman doing, using I guess an element of uncertainty or maybe people who are a license holder going, well, hang on, I've paid a license for Challenge and Challenge, it might be relegated to a Challenger series. I think we could see that as an opportunity for Ironman to step.
Is my distance going to change? Somewhere like Challenge Wanaka, for example.
Yeah, to me that was the race I was thinking of when I was strategic. That is an event I could see Ironman going in because it is such a iconic race. I could see them coming in saying, we'll have that, thanks. That one. Because, and again, right, if you're that event organizer, you talk about the fact that Ironman's the top dog. It is a pretty compelling and appealing business proposition, right? To suddenly have, I know, for example, my favorite race that I've done is the Tauranga half race in the North Island of New Zealand. I fucking love that to be an Ironman event. As great as it is as a local event, I love the Ironman experience. And I think if you apply that Ironman experience to a race that I already love, that would be exceptional. And then the fields would get bigger and all the positives that would come with it. So I could see a situation where Ironman does sort of start to go around and look at the events that they like. They don't really have a 70.3 in Norway anymore. There's Challenge Sandefjord. Maybe they go to them. Like it's a again, that model we've seen them do a lot in the past, where a challenge race does well, they step in and try to take it. This might just make them go a little bit stronger, just seeing an opportunity to maybe go in where there is a bit of uncertainty and lack of I'm assuming that all the organisers and stuff have been probably given more information than we have. But I could see that as an opportunity for Ironman to step in and go, okay, why don't we actually go shopping a little bit?
Yeah, it could. They could well do. They've just launched a new 70.3 in France, haven't they? The 70.3 Versailles, which that turned my head, to be honest, mate. And I haven't had my head turned by a triathlon for some time.
Didn't turn my head.
Did it not?
No, I'm good.
I love the Ironman experience as well. I think they put on a really good race weekend experience for amateur athletes. And I also love the T100 experience. So on the plus side of what the T100 are up to, they start rolling out that experience to these challenge races and start unifying. Not unifying, what's the word I'm looking for?
Consolidating?
Standardizing the experience for people. Then that will create another area where Ironman start thinking, oh, hang on, we might have a bit of competition here. But it's very hard to compete against that word. I swear it's so hard to compete against that word.
I mean, this is something that we've discussed a few years ago, to be honest. We discussed, and it's something that I think about a lot, probably because I do, I sort of spend a lot of time studying intellectual property law. But I do see a future where the Ironman brand, like, because you're right, that word Ironman that's the most important thing. And I could honestly see a situation where that becomes what we call a generic term. Like we've seen with many other brands in the past, Esky, Kleenex, etc., where the brand becomes so synonymous with the product that it's called a general use and suddenly isn't a trademark.
Could that happen with Ironman?
100% it could. 100% it could. What I can see a scenario being where I actually think
they seem to be protecting it,
which they are. Well, that's why they always litigate against anybody that uses Ironman. They have to protect. I could see a scenario though where Ironman maintains the trademark on the M dot, but the term Ironman refers, because let's be honest, when we say Ironman, we don't necessarily, like if I talk about an Ironman race, I'm not talking about a branded race. I'm talking about the 3.8, the 180, the 42.2. I can see a scenario where that becomes a generic term that any race can use to describe their distance, and the M dot becomes the trademark. I'm sorry if I'm getting a bit over the top, but I wonder, I've seen that as the future path. That is the direction this sport will eventually head. Ironman will not be a brand. It will be a distance. The M dot will be the brand. They might have whatever that. I wonder if we see T100, and I'm assuming here, they've never spoken about a T200 event. They've only done the T100 and the T50 as of this point. But I wonder if they decided to go after a T200 distance, would that actually make that future less likely? If every other brand in the sport moves away from aiming for the 3.8, 180, 42, could that strengthen Ironman's position and actually strengthen their trademark claim over the term Ironman? Like, yeah, possibly.
I mean, I'm not the legal mind you are, but yes, I would say so. If the T100 brand creates a T200 race and the T200, that round number, becomes their long distance race, and then a huge amount of races across the globe become 200 races and people start doing them, then yeah, it becomes less likely, I would say, that the iron distance races start being called Ironman races, because it's part of an ecosystem where they're a big part of it and they're a big part of it.
Yeah. Just thinking out loud, so that's but look, they would be fools, though.
They would be fools to have a long distance race that wasn't an iron distance, though, no?
Well,
don't start a T200 race. Don't listen to Tim.
I'm saying don't do that either. I'm saying make it.
If you're going to have long distance races, make them that specific distance, for fuck's sake.
and then challenge, and then let's make it a generic term, and then M dot can have their M dot, and Ironman can be, because I'm sick of trying to say iron distance. Let's just call it an Ironman race.
Which court would it go to?
It depends whether the trademark's registered.
It's an American company. Assume the trademark's registered.
No, you have to register.
Would that be a fight fought in America?
It's I don't know enough about it, but I know that they've registered. I think they have to register, because trademarks are really, people don't care, but you have to register trademarks in specific markets, in specific categories and stuff like that. So I think the challenge is often in the market, but eventually, let's say the US court ruled it, because there's a global agreement between nations around trademark that I think that if one country makes a rule and it's sort of just recognized everywhere. So, yeah, because I do remember a few years ago, you remember there used to be, I think Blue 70 was originally called Ironman wetsuits, and they had to change it. And even things like the original IM Talk used to be called Ironman Talk. They weren't allowed to call it that, because that is then which is right. You should protect your trademark, because I think at the point where enough challenges come in and it becomes suddenly unmaintainable to.
Remember those old Ironman wetsuits?
Yeah. So that's why I think that's when it eventually becomes generic, when there's just too many cases of trademark breach that they just say, fuck it. It's generic. It's a generic. I think it's a generic term anyway. Ironman would definitely disagree with me, but I think where this all very much gets us to, and where I'd like to wrap up the episode this week, because we've still got about 10 minutes to go, is we've spoken a lot about a consolidated ecosystem, and I don't necessarily want to cover this from an amateur point of view, but I do want to talk about it from a pro point of view. And I'd like you to, I'd love your thoughts, and we can discuss. But what is, to you, the ideal situation in terms of a structure for pro triathlon? How would you like to see the pro ecosystem exist?
I mean, I'm going to hark back to conversations we had years ago, and that is a league system where you've got different levels of athlete fighting their way up through different leagues to get to what is essentially the Premier League, which would be the top tier pro level. And if T100 can create something like that with this Challenger series, then that could be the first step in getting towards that. Because ultimately, if you've got your top tier pros fighting out for the world championships, you've got this Challenger series, which is your feeder series. The only thing between that becoming a league structure is enough athletes filling it up, and it's swelling to the point where it's unmanageable. So you need to create one below it. That swells to the point where it's unmanageable. So you create one below that as well. And then next thing you know, you've got your league system, and boom, we're off to the fucking races.
It's going to apparently be quite a short conversation, because I have quite a long time also believe that is the correct approach, where you have a tiered system which is based on, like rankings or something, where to be in, let's call it the T100 championship tour, you have to be a top 100 ranked athlete in the world. To be in the Challenger series, 100 to 300, and then 300 below can do something else. But
and you've got relegations and you've got promotions.
I really feel like that is, in terms of a pro thing, that is the way. Do you then think that we need to have, because the other problem we have with the sport compared to a lot of others is we've got Ironman, middle distance, short distance. Do you believe that we have that same system across all three, or do you think that there needs to be some sort of way that we can unify it as one whole?
Sorry, say that again. I misunderstood. I don't understand what you mean.
So we're talking about a pro series, a Challenger series, and maybe a feeder series. But I'm saying, with the current setup, with the way sport is, we've got Ironman, middle distance, short distance. Would you have pro series, Challenger series, feeder series, Ironman, pro series, Challenger series, feeder series, 70.3 or T100, pro series, Challenger series, feeder series, short course? Or is there some way that we can...
Ironman will always stand alone.
I don't mean Ironman, I mean the distance. I'm assuming that at some point...
Yeah. No, I think there'll be a way of combining 70.3 and Ironman. Yeah, there's a way of combining it all, I think.
I feel like if you look at what Ironman has done with their pro series, while they don't have defined challenger events and championship events, I do feel like they've created an environment where that will organically occur, because with the pro series these days, I feel like 80 to 90% of the people on those start lists, they're not getting anything out of racing professionally at that event. And you see already certain athletes going, I can't be competitive at those Pro Series races. I'm going to opt for the non-Pro Series races because it's like a better chance of making some prize money and getting a win again. So I think that is a good way of sort of, without necessarily basing it around rankings or anything like that, organically making that happen a little bit where, if you've got Ironman New Zealand Pro Series race and you've got Christian Blumenfeld and Casper Stornes and Gustav Eden and these guys racing, you're going, I might go do Ironman South Africa instead because I don't think I can podium against those guys. So I think it almost organically creates that tiered system. But I do agree. I think that the idea of like the relegation stuff is good. Like it's the same as pro surfing where you've got the WSL, then you've got the Challenger Series. It's the same with the Premier League. We got the Premier League, got the Championship. It
also helps with brands and sponsorships as well because it gives you something to anchor those deals around.
Yeah. I don't ever want to see a situation where we just have one Pro Series. I like that we had Super Tri and World Triathlon. I like that we've had Ironman and Challenge. I like that there's difference. I going back to what we said, I don't ever just want to see one unified thing. Even in surfing, we've got the ISA and we've got the WSL. Like there's boxing, we've got the different ones, and they can find ways to interact with each other. I think that variety in competition is important. But no, I really like the idea of the tiered thing is to me the most appealing thing of it. But I also then we go back to T100. I don't just want to have the 20 athletes. I think I've made my thoughts about that pretty clear. I think they need to increase those field sizes and maybe just make it instead of this, like, you know what, if you're a top 50 ranked athlete in the world or top 100, the top 50 ranked athletes can do this race if they want. And then outside that, you can't. I think that would be a model that works well.
And then,
The biggest question mark is just that iron distance competitor. Like I really am curious now looking at Challenge and this acquisition is what is there, if anything, is there going to be some sort of response to the long distance races? I am so fascinated to see what the next steps are because I think you'd agree with me here in terms of commercialization and popularity. Ironman's where it's at. Like T100 has been great. The sponsors still don't really care. The thing that moves the needle the most is the Ironman races. So you assume that they know that the most popular distance and event is Ironman. They're going to have an answer for it at some point, right?
Yeah, that's the intriguing element, isn't it? And a T200 race is not the answer.
It isn't, is it?
No. Call it I don't know. What's an alternative to Ironman? The Steel Champ. The Steel Champ series.
The Steel Champ series. I just love the thought it's your head on a medal being like champ. Well, look, there's a lot. This has been a big kind of nerdy, all over the place episode, guys. As James will say in a little bit, but like we'd love to get your thoughts on this. And I've seen a lot of the discussion has been around what it's going to mean for the entry prices. That is definitely a concern. I think that it is an announcement that we should choose to analyze optimistically to start with. Like, look at this. Let's look positives first. But please jump on the YouTube channel, youtube.com/talking triathlon. Let us know your thoughts, what you see this meaning for the sport, and also, I guess, what would be that ideal situation moving forward. Like, what would you, and not necessarily as an amateur, as a consumer of the pro racing, because people are not
those two thoughts out. What do you fancy as a punter?
Yeah.
What do you fancy as a viewer?
What would make exactly what you'd like to see this mean for you as a participant? What are the things you'd like to see out of it? And then what you'd like to see out of it in terms of a broadcast as well.
Yeah.
Jimbo, if people want to find out more about this little podcast, where do they need to go?
If you want to support the show, jump on at patreon.com/talking triathlon. If you want to follow Tim, he's at T414 on Instagram. I'm at bale.james85 on Instagram. We are at Talking Triathlon on Instagram. If you join the Patreon group, you get access to the monthly bonus episodes, which we need to do. And you'll also get added to the social group, the WhatsApp group. And if you're not a patron, though, please put a comment on the YouTube channel. That's where we're most likely to see it and respond.
Jimbo, I ask every week, how are we going with the auction? Are we ready to? Give us an update. I'm so excited.
I've still got things. I want to make sure all the prizes are in hand before I start advertising them. So the auction is coming. It's coming. I've got
Raffle,
a
sorry,
package
raffle.
from raffle. That's a package from Ellie Salthouse arriving tomorrow, apparently, according to the Royal Mail app.
Your little teasers, any little hints at what we can expect in the prizes apart from?
Well, I got a Team Australia tri-suit from Matt Hauser last week, so that'll be one of the prizes. What else we got down here? As I've already mentioned, the Meta Speeds, and I've got the Who bundle. I've got the Nicky Bartlett bundle. I've got a T100 race entry distance of your choosing for T100 London. That if you don't choose the full distance race, then you are losing out at that one.
You certainly are. Well, guys, thank you very much. As I said, this month as well, all Patreon funds are going towards my fundraiser for the Melbourne Marathon. So if you want to chip in $5, do that. You get the bonus stuff as well. But Jimbo, mate, a pleasure as always. And we'll be back next week.
Cheerio.